Hey, on this episode of Industrial Talk News, we are talking podcasts. We are talking about reports. We are talking about From the Heart. And we are talking about innovation like nobody's business and much, much more. Let's get cracking. Hey there, welcome to Industrial Talk News, a place where we just sort of highlight the things that are going on around the world, because I think that it's important how things are just going at a blistering pace. So bear with me. Let's get cracking. All right. On Industrial Talk, because we're all about the need to educate, collaborate, and innovate, we are really dedicated to being able to highlight some of the professionals all around the world. And we've got a ton of information out there, and we've tried to create a platform that is easy to navigate and find the information, and then, of course, collaborate, and then, of course, continue to innovate, because with that, you achieve innovation. Anyway, we have a great interview on deck. We've got a couple that I want to highlight. This gentleman's name is Justin Foster, Root and River. And if you know anything about me, I'm all about the need to really develop the tools and the skills of being able to market and sell, because it's important, especially now when we are trying to rebuild and survive and then prosper, whatever that looks like going forward. And I think the real need is how do you stand out? How do you gain attention? It is numb out there. It is just stupid numb out there. And Justin, on this particular podcast, nails it. He talks about being provocative, and I think that that's a real important component. Not being a jerk about the whole thing, but just a provocative approach. Like for me, I believe personally, there's a lot of crap out there. Here we are, and we've got to be able to get noticed. What do we need to do? What are the strategies? Right there. That's Justin Foster, because he is a man that knows exactly what's going on. Also, the next one on deck is also about the conversation that is wrapped around having a conversation with clients about pricing and money and having that mindset. And I know that for me personally, I've had a dickens of the time being able to do that, and do that with a level of confidence, just because you want to help people, but you've got to pay the bills and you've got to feed the family. You got to do what is necessary. And Robin Waite, and here's the deal. I love his fearless business model, because I'm all about trying to be fearless, at least trying to be bold, brave, and daring greatly, and putting yourself out there. It's just got to happen. And I encourage you on Industrial Talk to do more of that. Now, what we also have out there in Industrial Talk is a news section. Of course, we're talking about it, but that's sort of more of the overall. But we have a wonderful report that is produced by Cap Logistics. Now, if you go out to Industrial Talk and you look for that report, it's talking about just the general market of the logistics supply chain condition out there. And if we talk a lot about all of the challenges that are taking place within the supply chain, within sourcing, within logistics. And a lot of people, as a result of this particular podcast, my gosh, it's all of a sudden a really big deal. And Cap Logistics, just so that you know, they've been around for a long time, and they know what's going on, and they have really great insights into what's taking place within industry. And I just highly recommend that you go out to Industrial Talk, find the report, and sort of get engaged on that one. Now, what is interesting, what we can do, and this is sort of as I continue to sort of evolve and grow and try to make this a valuable service, this news, we have a tremendous opportunity to pull great information from the social networks, Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, even Instagram and so on, and be able to highlight that. And this is a gentleman. His name is Rob Tiffany. He's vice president IoT with Ericsson. And what makes Rob sort of an interesting professional is that he's always going to sort of push the envelope when it comes to IoT, push the envelope when it comes to technology, innovation, and so on. And that's what we need. We just can't run lockstep. We're to truly, survive, rebuild, and prosper going forward. You've got to have people like Rob Tiffany, and this is interesting. And he's a tech guy. I am a sales and marketing guy, but I'll just read it. I don't use new technologies to build new technologies, which is an interesting and provocative approach to that. He uses older, reliable technologies to build new technologies. Makes sense. I have to agree. Although I'm not going to be one that is Mr. Coder and all that stuff, but Rob is. He prefers proven, off-the-shelf, and supportable, products to unproven, exciting, and new. And so it's interesting for us to be able to sit here and say, okay, that's shiny, let's keep on going down. And we waste time. And I believe we don't have the luxury of wasting time by any stretch of the imagination. I think that we have to act with a lot of confidence, and we have to move forward, because that's real important, especially now. And to do that with a level of confidence, Rob is, spot on his, I'd rather use something that's proven and develop new technologies. That is pretty wise and sage advice. All right, let's go on to Bill Schmarzo. Now, Schmarzo, there's been a lot of conversation about gold and data, right? And this IoT, Industrial 4.0, all of that stuff is great, and it is great. Don't get me wrong. We've got devices, we can collect data, we've got the capability, we can put it in the cloud, and all of the wonderful things that are associated with Industry 4.0 and then beyond, and then the innovation that happens as a result of that. Schmarzo, he has a great approach of the economics of data and being able to do that as we transform. And I think that is a great approach. And here's his book that I highly recommend that you get. Also, you got to follow the Schmarzo, Doctor of Data, as well as Tiffany. Go out there and follow, because they're always providing, and they're pushing with information that is truly valuable to many of us and where we're going, because the future is bright. Technology's there. It is a human sort of solution to a certain extent. You got to follow them. But anyway, this is a great book. Schmarzo has been on. Bill has been on the podcast a number of times. Never fails to deliver just tremendous wisdom and insight. So look at his book going on out there, because the future is, it's one thing to be able to put all these devices out there. It's another thing to be able to take those devices, glean the data that is meaningful for your operations, because we want to create businesses that are resilient, right? I think that's real important. Now, one of the things that I've been very interested in, if you've ever listened to Industrial Talk, is I like the human side of industry. I like the people. I like what that's all about. Industrial Talk is changed a little bit, and now we get to highlight the great people that are really changing lives here and beyond. And that's what industry is all about. All of this great innovation, all of the wonderful things that are taking place within business is all great. And there is also that heart component, that human component, right? Super important. One of the ones that I want to just sort of point out, Elevate Our Kids. Now, this was an organization that just started as a result of the pandemic to a certain extent, where they're saying, hey, kids are staying home. What do we do? How do we facilitate? There are kids that are falling through the cracks as a result of not being able to get the teaching that is necessary. And that is, like, as we all know, it was a digital Zoom when all of a sudden everybody has to conduct their classes, via Zoom. And so Stephanie Atkinson and others created this organization called Elevate Our Kids. You got to find out, and you got to get engaged. This is I'm going to probably end up butchering it, and sorry, Stephanie, if I do. This ESI donated to keep this particular organization rolling, helping our kids during very challenging times. Stephanie's got this big heart. She's been on the podcast too, and she's exceptional when it comes to all of this stuff. You gotta follow her too. It's all going to be out there. Doggone it, it's all out there. It's on Industrial Talk. Find it, Stephanie. It's all there. Get engaged. Okay, this one's got me all geeked out. This one, this thing, when we start talking about in action, when we start talking about how does all of this innovation change the world, how does this innovation impact people and communities? This is an organization called Neom, right? Just from the very top is a new vision what the future could be. They are taking all of this great innovation that is existing out there, right? All of it, looking at it, everything. It's not just from industry. It could be transportation. It could be how we deal with water. What is education going to look like? Everything that we possibly can touch from an innovation point of view, Neom is putting that into action. It is, you go out to neom.com and you look at their website, and it's great. They are changing the world. And this is something that is, I have these conversations all the time, right? I talk to people and we talk about AI. We talk about all of this great stuff that's happening. Here is an organization that is putting it into action, Neom. Beverly Ryder is one of the executive directors out there. Incredible. I'm telling you, it's absolutely exciting. That's why I get all geeked out on the fact that industry is truly changing the world and changing lives. And if you're part of that, if you even thinking about getting involved, I highly recommend that you do, because it's an exciting time. Now, one last point. So if you ever listen to me, I'm always about marketing. I'm always about sales. I love the innovation. I love the technology, and it just doesn't happen without a way of being able to market and sell it and move it forward and really tell the story of why it's important. This is important not just from the survival of companies. It's important to be able to develop that information, develop that story, to tell that story so that you can fill it in with just bright, wonderful, young professionals that are looking to get engaged. And it's important. If you don't, somebody will, and I just don't want you to be impacted that negatively. I like the fact that if you're truly looking at that. So one of the questions that always comes up to me, what is today's biggest marketing and sales challenge? It is. If you don't think it's difficult out there, yeah. You're how do you survive? How do you rebuild? How do you prosper? And what is this next normal going to look like? How do you create a resilient business? These are challenging times, but one of the keys that I think that if I can share with anybody is the human side. I love human stories. I love the fact that we can talk about food and equate it to people in industry. I love the fact that we can talk about just anything about how that product is manufactured, right? How is it manufactured? It is fantastic stuff, right? That is the human side. We cannot, and I just reiterate, you cannot just sit there and say, our product's the best, our product's the best, our product's the best, and think that somebody's going to say, hey, that's great, let me buy some more, let's buy. It doesn't work that way. Relationships that start with making it human, bringing out that human side. We've got to continue to educate, provide that education, right? You make it human. In a way, you're providing education. And then you've got to collaborate, because I'm telling you right now, bar none, you don't have all the answers. But if you begin to collaborate and you begin to work with people who have different views and perspectives and all of that good stuff, then you're really truly bringing about an opportunity for true sales and solve problems, which is exactly what your solution needs to do, solve problems. And then from that collaboration, that innovation, you got to innovate. It is a must, because going forward, of course, Rob Tiffany, he's going to use that old technology, that proven technologies, but he is also focused on that innovation, that necessity to innovate. And it's so important. So back to the original question, biggest sales, you're not making it human. You got to deliver educational content that is not, hey, look at us, we're great, we're fantastic, and we're great. It can't be an infomercial. Don't make it. Truly desire to help people by educating them. Collaborate, reach out, say, hey, I want to get to know you. I want to understand. How can I help you succeed? What can I do? Be other focused. And then finally, never rest to say, we're fine right now, we're good. Always innovate, always push that envelope. All right. That's pretty much it. I've got a lot more. Go out to industrialtalk.com. It is new. We are beginning to build it even more. We've been around for a number of years, but this is a new approach because we've decided that Industrial Talk is needed for the ability to be able to provide education, provide a platform for collaboration, and then, of course, just keep highlighting all of the wonderful human things that are taking place, and seeing all of this great stuff in action. I know for me personally, I love this stuff. I love seeing it in action. I love hearing about the human side. Now, granted, I like reading some of the white papers, but if I could have a Cliff Note version, I would be just more dandy about that, right? So I understand all that, and we've just got to recognize where people are at. Keep it simple. Allow them to be able to dive deeper, and we're just going to keep on coming out with more news, more articles, more stuff. If you have a desire to collaborate, contact me. Industrial Talk, just contact me and say, hey, I want to collaborate. Fantastic, we've got a place for you. All right? Thank you very much for joining Industrial Talk News. Stay tuned. We're going to have a lot more, because industry never sleeps, and that you are bold, you are brave, and you dare greatly. Thank you very much for joining.
You're listening to the Industrial Talk Podcast Network.